I am Sean Conley, and I love Connecticut. And I'm thankful for you all having me here this morning. It's great to be with all of you. And so the question for me is, someone who hasn't run for office, Sean, why the heck do you want to do this, right? Why do you want to be governor? And for my wife, Carol, and I, who we made this decision together, it's pretty simple. It comes down to three things. The first is, I do love Connecticut. And that's why Carol and I decided to move back here to my home state to raise our two boys, Sean and Brendan, who are 11 and 8 years old, right here in Connecticut, after having served on active duty in the Army and after having worked at an international law firm in Washington, D.C. Second is opportunity. We want Sean and Brendan and all our children and grandchildren to have the same opportunity right here in Connecticut that the last 3 generations of my family enjoyed. That's really why I'm a Democrat, opportunity. Because I've always believed that the Democratic Party was the party of opportunity, a fair shot for everybody, no matter who you are. And the third reason is, I know we can do it. I know that with the right long-term plan and the right collaborative, results-driven leadership, we can change the narrative here in our state. We can write the new story of the new Connecticut opportunity. And I talk about a long-term plan, and I believe, the only candidate among my fellow candidates who has already released a long-term economic plan available on my website at connolly4ct.com. I released it on January 9th. But let me give you a little bit of background about myself. My love for Connecticut is deeply rooted in my family story. It goes back to 1928, when my grandfather, my mother's father, first arrived here in America, coming from Ireland in search of that opportunity. On the cusp of the Great Depression, so I bounced around for a little bit. My grandmother came from Ireland as well. They met, they married, and after a short enlistment in the Army for my grandfather, they still wanted that opportunity, and my grandfather's brother said, you know, Jim, there's this small aircraft engine company that's making so many engines, you could probably find work there. So my grandfather hopped a train to Hartford, and he soon had a job as a groundskeeper at Pratt & Whitney in East Hartford. My grandmother followed suit, got a job in the factory. They found their opportunity here, worked, saved, bought their first house. My father, same thing, an immigrant from Ireland as well, came 52 years ago last month, well, it's 2 months ago now, January 6th, in search of that same opportunity. He got a job in the Hartford area within a couple days, and within 2 years, he bought and operated his own small landscaping business here in Connecticut, which for me meant cutting a lot of grass during the summertime in high school. But they found their opportunity here as well. My brother, my 2 sisters, and I, I'm the youngest of 4, same thing, growing up in East Hartford, attending public schools, where I had my first job, washing dishes at 15 at Beefsteak Charlie's. I was promoted to busboy though, so. My desire to serve in college led me to Army ROTC. I served 7 years of active duty in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, in Iraq, in the Pentagon. I worked in Washington, D.C. at a law firm, and ultimately came back here to my home state to join Pratt & Whitney, first as a lawyer, and then becoming the Global Ethics and Compliance Officer at the same company my grandfather was a groundskeeper. But something about 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to serve again, when I was honored to accept appointment as Commissioner of Connecticut's Department of Veterans Affairs, serving our 200,000 plus veterans all across the state, and demonstrating that you can run a state agency with efficiency and effectiveness despite reduced resources, despite our budget going down each year, by being innovative, by being collaborative, by partnering with nonprofit organizations, by partnering with other state agencies like mental health and addiction services, labor, housing, to bring wraparound services to bear for our veterans, and reducing the census at our temporary housing facility in Rocky Hill by 40%, which meant more veterans getting to permanent housing, more veterans getting their educational and fiscal affairs in order. But despite that success, as I traveled the state as commissioner, and now as a candidate over the last 4+ months, I've seen that people are frustrated, that Connecticut is struggling, that too many people believe the opportunities that my grandparents and my father had don't exist anymore here in Connecticut, and that our economic growth is too slow, and that I agree with the Commission's report that came out just the other day that we are in a crisis. I've called it a crisis since announcing my exploratory campaign in October. But it's solvable. We've got a bright future, but it's going to take that long-term plan and the right leadership to bring people together and the laser focus on our economy to get it done. And that's why I'm in this race. Carol and I made this decision because it comes down to where I started, opportunity. To ensure and expand the Connecticut opportunity, again, for everyone here in Connecticut, no matter who you are. But that comes down to work on our economy. And that's why, yes, in October, when I launched my exploratory campaign, I said it's my first, second, third priority. And when I declared my candidacy, and I am a declared candidate for governor since January 9th, I released my long-term economic plan because it's that important. I'd love to answer some questions on my ideas for the economic plan, and I do want to open it up. But I do want to say this, I bring something different to the table, something unique among my fellow candidates. I bring a three-tiered experience that nobody else has in the same package, and that is my military experience, making tough choices in our military, continuing to serve today as a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve, having recently graduated from the Army War College. Second, business and corporate experience, working at a law firm, working for companies down in Washington, D.C., working at Pratt & Whitney, where you have to be concerned with budgets, you have to be concerned with tough choices, where I supervised ethics and compliance officers worldwide. And third, running a state agency where I work with the legislature, both houses, both parties, to bring people together, to bring success for our veterans. We've got a long way to go and a lot to do. But so, as someone who hasn't run for office before, I'm not running because it's the next political job I want. I'm not running for a line on my resume. And I'm not running this time to better position myself for next time. And I'm not running for a lifetime in elected office. I'm running to roll up my sleeves, to jump in the trenches, and offer leadership to elevate service over politics, to get results for all of us, for the great people of Connecticut. So I look forward to any questions you may have, any comments you may have. And again, I thank you very much for having me today. We've got about 30 seconds. Any questions? So quickly I'll say a few points on my economic plan. Investing in businesses of all sizes, small, medium, and large. Forget about Amazon. Let's focus on the businesses that we have here already growing organically. Transportation is critical from a safety perspective. We're rated the worst roads in the nation. Rails are important, and just yesterday I came out to distinguish myself. The gentleman asked the question of how do we distinguish ourselves. I distinguished myself yesterday saying we shouldn't raise rail rates, we shouldn't decrease services on the Shoreline East. We're going to send more people on the bad roads already. We got to change that, reverse that, more railways. And that's my time. I want to thank you very much. Again, look at my plan, and I look forward to your emails and your questions. Thank you so much.